the bright studio lights of the late night talk show reflected across the glossy stage floor as the audience settled into their seats, excited for another unpredictable celebrity interview. Music blasted through the speakers, while cameras moved into position around the set. Staff members rushed behind the scenes with clipboards and headsets, preparing for what producers believed would be a lively but entertaining episode. No one expected the night to spiral into chaos. When Chaka Khan walked onto the stage, the crowd erupted into applause. Dressed in a stunning black outfit with sparkling jewelry and her signature confident energy, she waved gracefully to the audience before taking her seat across from Andy Cohen. Andy greeted her warmly. "Tonight is already legendary," he joked. "We've got an icon in the building." The audience cheered louder. At first, everything felt relaxed and playful. They discussed Chaka's music career, unforgettable performances, and stories from decades in the entertainment industry. Chaka laughed often, sharing memories about recording hit songs and working with famous artists. The audience loved every second. Andy leaned forward with excitement. "You've seen everything in this business. What's the biggest change in celebrity culture today?" Chaka smiled at first. "People are louder now," she replied. "Everybody wants attention. Back then, talent mattered more than headlines." A few audience members clapped. Andy laughed carefully. "That sounds like a warning." Chaka shrugged. "Maybe it is." The room reacted with nervous laughter. At that moment, the atmosphere subtly shifted. Andy moved into questions about modern music, reality television, and celebrity drama. At first, Chaka answered calmly, but her tone slowly became sharper. "I think too many shows today reward bad behavior," she said bluntly. The audience went quiet. Andy smiled awkwardly. "Well, reality TV might disagree." Several people laughed, but Chaka didn't. "I'm serious," she continued. "People become famous now for fighting, screaming, humiliating themselves online." Andy adjusted in his chair. "You don't think audiences enjoy authenticity?" Chaka raised an eyebrow. "That's not authenticity. That's performance." The tension in the room became impossible to ignore. Behind the cameras, producers exchanged nervous looks. Andy tried to keep the mood light. "You know, some people might say late-night television does the same thing." The audience reacted instantly with gasps and laughter. Andy pointed at himself dramatically. "Wait, are you talking about me now?" Chaka smiled slightly but didn't back down. "I'm talking about an industry that feeds off conflict." The room suddenly felt colder. Andy laughed again, though this time it sounded forced. "Well, conflict definitely gets ratings." "Exactly," Chaka replied immediately. A wave of murmurs spread across the audience. Andy glanced briefly toward the producers off stage. For a moment, he seemed unsure whether to joke or defend himself. Then he leaned closer. "But people also come on shows like this because they want to promote themselves." Chaka crossed her arms. "Or because they're pressured to play the game." The audience fell silent again. One producer could reportedly be seen signaling for the conversation to move in another direction, but neither of them stopped. Andy's smile faded slightly. "So you think this whole system is fake?" Chaka answered without hesitation. "I think a lot of it is." The crowd exploded into mixed reactions, some clapping loudly, others gasping in shock. Andy shook his head. "You know, it's interesting hearing that from someone who's benefited from the entertainment industry for decades." The comment changed everything. Chaka's expression hardened instantly. "Benefited?" she repeated slowly. Andy realized immediately that he may have gone too far. "I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," she interrupted sharply. The studio became completely silent. Even the audience stopped moving. Chaka leaned forward, her voice calm but powerful. "I worked for every ounce of respect I earned. I didn't become successful by humiliating people for entertainment." Several audience members applauded loudly. Andy attempted to smile again. "Nobody's humiliating anyone here." Chaka looked directly at him. "That depends on who's editing the show tomorrow." A loud reaction spread through the audience. Some people shouted. Others stared in disbelief. Backstage staff members were now visibly panicking. One producer motioned toward commercial break while another spoke urgently into a headset. Andy tried once more to recover control. "Okay, I think we're getting a little too serious tonight." "No," Chaka interrupted again. "People avoid serious conversations because the truth makes them uncomfortable. The tension became unbearable. The audience no longer knew whether to clap or stay quiet. Andy finally sighed and leaned back in his chair. "So what exactly are you accusing television of?" Chaka paused for several seconds. Then she answered carefully, "Turning human conflict into profit." The room exploded. Some audience members stood up clapping while others booed loudly. One person shouted, "She's right!" Another yelled, "This is crazy!" Andy looked stunned. Producers suddenly cut to an early commercial break as music blasted through the speakers. The cameras stopped rolling, but the argument didn't. Witnesses later claimed Chaka stood up from her chair while producers rushed onto the set trying to calm everyone down. Andy reportedly continued speaking off camera, while staff members attempted to separate the conversation. Audience members pulled out phones despite repeated warnings not to record. The atmosphere had completely collapsed into confusion. When the show returned from break, everything felt different. The smiles were gone. Andy attempted to continue the interview professionally, but Chaka appeared emotionally exhausted. After only a few more tense exchanges, producers made the sudden decision to end the segment early. As the cameras widened for transition, Chaka slowly removed her microphone. The audience watched in stunned silence. Without another word, she stood up from her chair. Andy looked speechless. Chaka gave one final glance toward the stage lights, then calmly walked off set while producers hurried after her backstage. The audience erupted into chaos once again. Some applauded loudly, others shouted questions, and by the next morning, clips and rumors about the explosive confrontation had spread across social media everywhere. Some viewers defended Chaka, praising her for speaking honestly about modern television culture. Others accused her of overreacting during a harmless interview, but nearly everyone agreed on one thing. What started as a normal celebrity appearance turned into one of the most uncomfortable live television moments anyone in that studio would ever forget.